And once again, God grew me, and he stripped away whatever idol that I had on producing and creating, that's where I got my worth from. He stripped that away, and it was beautiful.
And it was hard.
So hard.
Yeah.
Plant a seed, no one knows what it will be. Watch it grow, watch it grow, watch it grow, watch it grow. Your small beginning.
I know you're going to enjoy hearing from this amazing young couple. They have a home building business and they'll talk about that, but their story is so compelling and so beautiful, and I know it's going to encourage you and help you in your own walk. So sit back and listen as Jesse and Danielle Younger tell their story of the impossible coming true.
It was very clearly God was saying, no, you're going to sit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, coming out of that, it was, once God made it clear, like, yeah, it's so crazy how it worked out.
When was the walkabout? Was it in that time or was it afterwards?
The walkabout was that time.
You know, just as a wife and supporting your husband through something like that, as the man, as the head of household, because he was so faithful, it was so easy for me to maintain the utmost respect for him as the leader of our family, to know that in the waiting, there was going to be an amazing outcome. And I encouraged Jesse, you know, I think we felt contained to Houston because, you know, my job was there. And I just encouraged Jesse. I said, I just feel through the Lord telling me, you just need to get out in nature. And one of our escape vacation places was just outside of Austin in the Hill Country. And I said, I think you should go on a walkabout, and I think you should just let God speak to you. And it was kind of the launching pad to what worldly success God has allowed us to achieve up to this.
Yeah. Well, can you just tell us what do you mean by walkabout?
The walkabout is me just going out into nature with some water, Bible, a tent, and just being, no distractions, and just being there as long as I needed to be, and just listening to God. It was special. I mean, God revealed so much just when you strip down everything. It's just, I can't even begin.
So how long were you out?
I think it was just a couple days. That's all it took. I mean, it was.
And I look back on that moment and not knowing it at the time, not having the wisdom, I guess, per se, but just looking back on all of the times that Jesus performed miracles, and so many of those miracles, he removed himself from the chaos of the world around him, and he went to a quiet place, whether that was a room or to a mountaintop, to a garden. He went away and he prayed, and he listened to what God had in store for him. And looking back, I truly feel like through this walkabout, Jesse was able to hear God's story for us as head of household.
Yeah, and I think I went into this thinking, okay, God, what do I need to learn? What do I need to get to the next level? Like I went into this very much looking to gain something from this, and God's awesome. It's so interesting. He revealed to me that, like, Jesse, you have everything you need. Like, you don't need any, like, you have me. That's all you need. Like, you don't need another feather in your cap. You don't need another tool, don't need another skill. Like, you have it all. You're on the right path. Just be patient. Just wait. Like, you're almost there, you know? That was, in a nutshell, what the nugget was from that walkabout. It was just content.
Right.
Being content.
And then through just next steps of feeling more confident, that's when Jesse started his first company. And through that first company of your own, that you could put an LLC at the end, I mean, that taught us so much, even though it didn't last for very long and it didn't make a ton of money. You know, it taught us all the basics for building this business that God actually had planned for us. So anyways, I think just fast forwarding, we were pregnant with our second baby, and we had the opportunity for my job to take off for 6 months for maternity leave. And while that was unheard of for anyone to actually take advantage of, I think generally in America, we said, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to take 6 months off. And not only are we going to take 6 months off, but oh my gosh, like, what if we did this wild thing, which we thought was wild at the time, and moved to the hill country, this place that we feel so drawn and so called to and so at peace in. Why can't we?
You had off. Why would we spend 6 months
in Houston?
I have my own consulting gig. I just work remotely. I'll travel back to Houston every other week or so.
So you can totally see where just God had lined this path perfectly for us.
We're starting to fall into place
quickly. While everything else had happened pretty slowly up until this point, this is really when the momentum started.
Yeah.
And we thought, you know, I think we often try to discern what that calling is. And we thought that it was, well, just rent a house in Austin and then come back to Houston and continue on with your life.
We're just going to dip our toe in the water. We're not jump. We're just going to, let's just feel it. Was our idea.
Right. And how often does God say dip your toe?
Nope.
No. Jump all in.
You're going to jump. You're going to jump.
And that's when we jumped. We literally jumped. And it was one of those move from California moments that no one understood but us. And
it looked crazy. What are we doing?
We DIY'd the sale of our home, decided to put up the house on the market in Houston.
Yeah.
Sold it successfully, had a healthy baby boy. And when he was 2 months old, we packed our stuff and we moved to the hill country.
Yeah.
With no jobs. I mean, I was on maternity leave. I didn't know if I was going to be able to go back to work if I lived in Austin. Hello, my office is in Austin. And
my consulting contract ended in December, which was like about the time that you got off maternity leave. So that was like, we kind of have a decision to make come December because we don't know where we're going to work.
Yeah.
We don't know where we're going to live. We don't really know anybody up here.
We didn't know anyone.
But we know this is where God's calling us. So.
And you had 2 children.
Yes.
Two littles.
2 littles.
Yeah. But we just felt that God was calling us here and we didn't know what for. But the minute we stepped foot after taking away the safety net of Houston, the moment we stepped foot in the hill country, I felt more settled, more grounded, and more rooted than I ever had in all 7 years that we spent in Houston. And it was like instant. And the first thing we prayed for was a church family. And God provided. And every prayer after that was just answered. My job which this is unheard of, was converted to a remote job. So I was able to work for a corporate oil and gas company in Houston and in London remotely in Austin. I mean, that's just, it wasn't.
This is pre-COVID.
This was 2016. Yeah, this was 2016. And
yes,
amazingly, we had this, conversation with a family member of ours, and Jesse was able to hire on with the corporate job as well, remote.
This is a little crazy. So when I was doing my consulting gig, one of the hats I wore, part of what I did is I managed what's called a configurator for a very specific LED lighting brand for a very specific LED lighting segment, architectural linear LEDs.
Mm-hmm. Which all sounds super boring and uninteresting.
It does.
And I've fallen asleep many times on phone calls with him about this while he was traveling.
But when we were talking to our family, my contract was about to be up the next month. My family member in Atlanta said, "Hey, don't you work for like some LED startup or something?" It's like, yeah. What you got? He said, "Well, we're hiring in Atlanta. It's a remote position though, and we're looking for someone to manage the configurator for our linear LED architectural lighting segment." Are you kidding me? Yes, please.
wow,
About that same time,
total matchup.
Total matchup. Almost. I mean, I don't want to use the word effortless because there was a lot of work involved and a lot of prayer and a lot of just a lot of work, but it was effortless.
It was. I mean, like, God gave us this opportunity, and there's no other explanation besides him, and taking that leap of faith and then expecting what only he can provide.
Mm-hmm.
And so going back to the seed money from the sale of our house, now we both have corporate jobs. We're both working remotely. Okay, God, we know this isn't forever. We know we can't plant roots in the hill country without being 100% present in this community.
Mm-hmm.
I totally felt that being 100% present meant giving back to this community and supporting it through our jobs. We just didn't know what that was. Mm-hmm. And so this was the napkin sketch. It was, okay, God, let's look back on this journey and all of the things you have shown us.
And connect the dots.
Let's try to connect the dots. What are the next steps? And we had 5 viable business plans at that point. I mean, truly.
Mm-hmm.
And
from starting a mountain bike park to
a vineyard.
Mm-hmm. Man, what were some? Yeah, I remember that.
A marina.
Opening a marina. Yeah.
I mean, very viable business options, and
because we didn't know we had to make an income, and we knew that we were still going back to that moment, called to work together, which we were not fulfilling, and that had to be like God spoke to us, so that we've got to keep our wheels turning.
And so we just prayed and we asked, what is supposed to be next? And doors just kept opening to a home building business. And it started small. It started with God saying, okay, well, you need a home. You can't live in a 900 square foot condo with 4 breathing humans and 1 dog for the rest of your life. I mean, I guess we could, but we didn't feel called to that. So you need a home. And that's when it started. You know, he said, here's your prototype. Build it yourself. You can do it.
Found this beautiful piece of property. Just gorgeous. And that's kind of, I mean, it's where it all just started falling into place. It was crazy. I mean, we could have thousands of examples of just
but this is all part of the testimony, and this is all part of giving him the glory. I mean, we could dig into every instance of the occurrence, but it's all him.
We bought in 2016, started designing, and then broke ground in June of 2017.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I had my corporate remote job. So I would come out here on my lunch breaks, had every other Friday off. So basically building the house, in my time off. But meanwhile, little did we know, we were learning about how to build responsibly. Like, we love this land.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to build to the land.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to establish a relationship with great trades.
Mm-hmm.
We had the time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even know we were building a business until probably, when did we know this was going to be a viable business in that process?
It was very clear when we started building our home that we were doing things different.
Mm-hmm.
We had expectations that were high and higher than we felt like we could achieve by buying something on the market. My background in public health and toxicology and environmental science makes me respect the land and makes me appreciate and desire a healthy home for me, for my children, for my family. Jesse's engineering background, while he's OCD, and while the D is a disorder, when it comes to home building, I don't think it's a disorder. I think it's something that means quality. And quality means sustainability, and sustainability means that these homes are going to last for generations to come. And that's what we wanted to build for our family.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't find it out there anywhere. And I just think it was along the way in the process, just God made it very clear, you need to make these homes accessible to everyone. And we have written on our window in our office our mission statement, and it's just that. It's making these healthy, sustainable homes accessible to everyone. And that's where the business started. That's where the ball started rolling. And it was like, all right, we're on a roll. And then
I got fired.
Jesse got fired.
Oh, the timing was crazy.
Do you need a safe place to connect with other creatives? I have a membership group called the Inner Circle of Small Beginnings, and it may be just the membership community that you have been looking for. It is safe, it is full of joy, full of caring people, and just so special. God's presence actually comes and rests on us as we meet together on live Zoom. I have people in this group from Australia to Africa and all over the United States. So it's a membership group where God is in the center of my weekly live teachings, all relevant about growing our relationship with Jesus and our increased faith in our daily creative walk. Y'all, here are some quotes from some of my members. This group has just been a delight. Here's another one. I really like Mondays now. Hey, we meet on Mondays. And I really like how Spirit-led you are. So y'all, my wait list is open now. Click on the link in the show notes, and pre-registration will begin on July 28th. But when you get on the wait list now, you will be able to pre-register for my exclusive membership program at the discount price of $27 a month starting on July 28th. When you register after July 31st, the price will be going up to $37. The doors will be open only for a limited amount of time. So get on my wait list now for my private membership called Inner Circle of Small Beginnings with Sarah, and we will send you a free PDF of my favorite Bible translations. You're going to be so blessed that you made the decision to become a member. Be blessed.
We were both torn because it was like, we can't run this business while having corporate jobs. So who quits first?
Well, we were about to enter what's called finish out in the custom home business, and that is all chaos. And we were like, saw this deadline coming, and like, man, what are we going to do? Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to run finish out and stay at this job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that LED side of the business was not doing so well, had a bad quarter, and my job was the first to get furloughed, get cut, and so got a severance package and basically got paid to finish out our house.
That was cool. What gives me chills is with my company, you get this bonus check in March, and I was going to wait to get that big check to leave because we had decided that
That's right.
Danielle was going to quit her corporate job first. So we could focus on business development for Younger Homes.
That's right.
And that was on a Friday. Jesse got laid off on a Wednesday. And God said, oh, you just thought you had this figured out.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's Jesse that's supposed to leave. And so that just happened, and it was easy. It was amazing, easy. And then came, I don't even know how to describe it, we thought it was uprooting.
The curveball.
The curveball.
The chapter of this, the title of this chapter would be The Curveball. Totally the curveball, because just imagine we've taken these crazy leaps of faith over I don't know how many months, years. God is like striking a chord with our soul. Like this is what we're supposed to be doing. We see the picture, we see the vision. We've prayed about this for 6, 7, 8 years now. Like, wow, we see where he's taking us.
We've made it.
We made it. Right. Right. And then God says, Danielle, go to London and take the family with you, with your oil and gas company. And we said,
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
And it was everything that I had ever dreamed of. I mean, my lesson in this is the world and corporate tells you to put your life on a piece of paper, and some companies call it a personal development plan. And I had on my 5 to 10 year goal mark to be an executive assistant for an executive for my company. It was exactly what I wanted, not what God had planned for me. And that was the moment when it was like, okay, there's a stark problem with this story. Danielle, are you going to be obedient in my calling?
And that's the thing.
Run a company.
That's the thing, though, is that it was such a curveball. We looked for counsel from friends. We had people over. We prayed about this extensively because it was just such a curveball. Like, I can't believe God is calling us to get rid of this when it's so clear. We've prayed about this for so long, and I feel like it's. I don't want to relate ourselves to Abraham in the Bible, but like that's what I feel like we could relate to in that moment. You know, the test. Abraham, I mean, they had been praying for a child forever. And then out of this miracle, they have a child that they've been wanting forever. And what does God do? God says, Abraham, I want you to sacrifice. I want you to take him to the altar, and I want you to sacrifice him. And obedient Abraham took him there. And before it happened, God said, stop. Like, and it was a way to make sure that our focus was still on God, that we hadn't begun to idolize these things that he had given us, that we had prayed for so long.
Idolize the whole country, idolize growing a business.
Yeah. And we did, though. We were obedient, and we said, okay, if you want us to go to London, let's do it. Like, this is very clearly from God. So we're going to put everything that you've given us on the altar. And Danielle started the process to interview and get this job. And I kid you not, like, Danielle could be like the CEO of this company. So like, it's it was some fluke in the process that got her nullified from this selection process or something. Some crazy thing that killed this thing. And God said that was a test.
Mhm.
Wow.
That was a test.
The ram was in the bush.
Yeah.
He sure was. Thank goodness. And that's when it was clear to me that act of obedience had to occur. I couldn't do this corporate job for the rest of my life because he had given us so many other blessings.
Mm. Wow. And I think you can look at that curveball and be so very thankful for it today, can't you?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a constant refocusing on him in all of this. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how big or successful or just how joyful we are, it all points back to him for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He's given us to us, and he can take it away, and whatever he decides, it's for our good, and we have complete comfort in that.
Yes. Jesse, I feel like if you could even say a prayer right now to those listening about curveballs, people are getting them right now, and
Mhm.
just for endurance, for hope. Would you be willing to do that? Just a general prayer for curveballs, whatever they may be, to people
Yeah,
listening?
for sure.
Yeah.
Father God, I just want to lift up the listeners, the audience, anyone who is just in a moment of feeling unsure and not seeing how their current situation aligns with the finish line. These curveballs, the blind sides, they are, if they are from God, they are good,
Mm-hmm.
and they will grow you, and they will take you to a place of just complete joy. It's I would just pray that you could find comfort, and pray that you could see that eternal perspective in these curveballs, and just pray that you could see the big picture, that this is part of His plan, even if we can't connect the dots and can't fully understand it. Walk down that path with confidence, knowing it's from God, and knowing that in the end it will be good for you.
Yeah. Thank you. That is beautiful. I know that's going to touch a lot of people, because sometimes when we're going through those things, we think we're the only ones.
Plant a seed, no one knows what it will be. Watch it grow, watch it grow, watch it grow, watch it grow. You're a small beginning.
Tune in next week to my podcast, Small Beginnings with Sarah, to hear the rest of Danielle and Jesse's story. So thank you so much for listening. You have an amazing week, and you know how I love to end my podcast. How good can God be?